So the Bengals had a deal, a trade deal, a blockbuster trade for Trey Henderickson, sending him to the Indianapolis Colts. But two things made the deal not work out. One, the Bengals are standing their ground on wanting a first-round pick for Trey Henderickson. They're not going to give up anything else but a first-round pick. There was rumors that they would consider a day 2 package where it would be like a second-round pick plus a lot of other picks. But according to the most recent rumors, they want a first, and you're not getting Trey unless you give him a first. Second problem was the Colts couldn't accommodate his new deal without shedding salary. So obviously, at the end of the day, if you trade for Trey, he's going to trade with the idea that he's going to get a new deal. And most likely, if he's going to go somewhere where he might not want to go, because obviously he does love it in he loves it in Cincinnati, he's probably going to want Mad Max Crosby's salary, probably 35, 36 a year. For 4 years. I don't know if he's going to go for Myles Garrett at 40, but he'll probably want, 37 a year, excuse me. He'll probably want 37 a year. So that's a lot. And then the Colts, obviously, this offseason, they just signed Danny Dimes to a 1-year, $14 million deal. There's other players they signed as well. So it just takes a lot, especially now that we're in the thick of things, the free agency, to offload that much money for a team here to give up a first round pick, give up draft capital for the future, and then also take on a 30-year-old who, again, you're going to have to pay $37 million a year for 4 years. That's a lot. So that's why the deal didn't go through. Now, if the Bengals were to not stand their ground, and let's say they did go ahead and say, you know what, we'll accept Trey for a second round pick, this trade might have went through. And they might have been able to get done and send Trey to the Indianapolis Colts. But because they're very stingy and they're standing their ground, which I can't get on them for this, I really can't. I think Trey, I still believe Trey is worth a first round pick. I think he is. And if we're going to get rid of Trey, which I'd never in a million years want to, I love Trey. I would never want to see him in any other uniform. But if we did, I want a first round pick because I want to be able to replace him. And it's going to be impossible to replace an edge rusher of his caliber and how much, production he gives us for his salary. But if we're going to, we have to get a first round pick in return. There's no circumstance where I'll ever accept a second round pick, period. So I do like that the front office, although you could say this is because they're not good at negotiating and, they always got their head up their butt pretty much. But at the same time, this is a situation where I agree with the front office. I want a first round pick and they're standing their ground on it. But again, no matter who we try to trade him to or we attempt to trade him to, they're going to have to work out his new salary in their salary cap situation. So they're going to have to work out a new deal with him, and it's not easy to do that. It's not, especially when it comes to right now with free agency. So many teams just unloaded the bag and got all these free agents. And then you had the Bengals here who's saying, hey, we'll trade them, but we want a first round pick. And now you're also going to have to potentially unload some of those guys or rework some guys you already have on your roster to get his contract figured out. It's a mess. And it's a mess that this is why, again, I don't think he's going to be traded. I really don't think so. I think we're going to sit here in limbo and he's going to play this next year. And that's pretty much that. We reported on a story earlier that said that a lot of teams, not just one, but a good amount of teams, said the Bengals were ridiculous. They said they were crazy with what they wanted for Trey Henderickson. They said it was unreasonable to ask a first round pick for Trey, and the Bengals would not budge on this subject. And I don't think they're going to. The Bengals are not going to budge on the idea of anything less than the first. So if you want Trey, you got to give us a first, and then you have to work out a contract with him. And you're going to have to put that $37 million on your books. Now, again, we don't really know exactly what Trey's asking for, but I'm going to assume he probably wants close to 37. He might want 40. For all we know, because that's, again, another thing when it comes to these contracts, they're all behind the scenes, you know, behind closed doors. We don't know exactly how much he wants. He might want 40 million. For all we know, he wants 40, which is crazy and ridiculous if we think about it, but at the same time, you never know. So at this moment in time, hopefully we figure something out. But we almost sent Trey to the Colts, which is crazy because I still think we should probably send Jermaine Pratt to the Colts. Although, if we were almost getting this contract done, or not a contract, but trade done, I'm assuming they probably either talked about it or tried to throw in Jermaine Pratt. Maybe they said like, hey, we'll give you Trey and Jermaine Pratt for a first, and they probably said no. So I'm assuming Jermaine Pratt's not getting traded either. I know it's crazy to say that, but I would assume he's not going to get traded, because if the Colts don't want him, I don't know who's going to want Jermaine Pratt right now. Not for a trade. If we cut Jermaine Pratt, I'm sure he would sign somewhere. I'm sure that somebody would pick him up and sign him. But when it comes to, you know, trading for him, giving up draft capital, I don't know who would trade for him. Because at best, he's worth a 6th or 7th round pick, in my opinion. So if that's the case, who wants to go out there and throw out the 1st or 2nd round pick? Who knows? Tell me down below your thoughts and opinions. See you guys next one.